It's time for Echidnut's take on the most recent ReZERO episode. Best fight in the anime? I agree. I don't think there is a fight that has gotten this level of quality, the talent working on it. Probably there's not a single episode that matches like the fight choreography specifically, right?
This episode of ReZERO had by far the best action and animation, not just of Season 3, but of the entire anime.
Yeah.
I totally didn't expect this. I never imagined ReZERO could ever look this good. That was
Like, oh god, this tiger impact frame from Garfield was so peak. The Elsa versus Reinhardt comes to mind when I think about how insane the movement was, the camera work, her just like running around the entire building like 360 degrees shooting, you know, projectile weapons at Reinhardt and Reinhardt just like countering it and chilling. If that episode I think had some crazy quality there too. There was some stuff with the white whale too for sure, right? Wilhelm running across the white whale and stuff like that. What other is there? The fights against Betelgeuse I don't think is really the same quality, even though it was pretty hype. This one I think absolutely there is no competition. It's not even, I don't want to say it's not even close, but maybe that is the truth, that there actually is nothing this close because again, due to the sheer talent, Vincent Chancellor working on this.
It's like a Jujutsu Kaisen fight scene in fucking ReZERO. I can't believe it. I'm just fucking astonished. I'm bewildered, dumbfounded.
Should we have no expectations for isekais to get this kind of animation? I feel like ReZERO deserves it. I feel like it's been a long time since like it should have happened actually, right? Because like Mushoku Tensei, the Father's Day episode against the Hydra, that shit went crazy. Maybe it's not the same level of quality as this, but it's definitely up there. Like ReZERO, I think definitely deserves it. Like considering how big of an isekai show it is and how good actually the show is. Like, most isekais airing, right? Like, for example, I'm gonna throw a couple under the fucking bus right now. Failure Frame, Newgate, right? All these bullshit, you know, isekais that just get pumped out on a seasonal basis with no love or quality put into it. Yeah, they're gonna get PowerPoint presentation fights, so maybe, like, the expectation is that isekais would never get this level of treatment, but thank God it's getting it.
Flabbergasted. Wet. I don't know how they got Vincent on ReZERO, but I'm just so impressed, and I wish every episode could be just like this one. If there's one word to describe it, it would definitely be magnificent. ReZERO is not really known for its fights and animation, so the Reinhardt vs. Elsa fight from Season 1 was the best I thought we would ever get. Kurgan
Agreed.
vs. Garfield was honestly one of the less interesting matchups for me, so the fact that they
Straight up, it was. Like, I don't want to disrespect Garfield, but I think it's just objective facts that not a lot of people are hyped for Garfield like they were for maybe like characters like, you know, Reinhardt versus Regulus, right? Kurgan Garfield, I think, Kurgan's not even an Archbishop either. Like, put the respect on my man Kurgan, but like objectively looking at it, these two matchup, by all means, should have been something that people would have just glossed over, called it mid. But for whatever fucking reason, they decided, nah. We're gonna crank up. We're gonna dial it up just for this one fight.
randomly made it the best fight in the anime truly shows how much White Fox loves and cares about ReZERO. I can't even rank this episode a 10 out of 10 because I still haven't fully processed
13 out of
it.
10.
My reaction to that fight scene was roughly—
Oh, the slow down. The slow motion of this tiger impact frame. I loved it. This is what should have happened in Blue Lock with King Barrow's goal, man.
Reaction to that fight scene was roughly the same as Liliana's reaction to Priscilla stripping. I mean, to put it in perspective, Capella turned into Priscilla this episode.
She did.
And it took me a whole minute to mention that because I'm too busy gooning to a fight between two shirtless men. But anyway, about Al and Capella, call me crazy, but I thought maybe they could be kind of compatible. Part of me almost wanted to ship them this episode, and I'm not saying which part of me that was, but regardless, this fight was insane, and we already knew it would be just from the way Al pulled up.
Aldebaran helmet bastard. Elden Ring, baby.
Al decapitated
Your stars were bad. Crunchyroll unfortunately fucked up the translation when he was saying, I think he said like my stars are bad or something today.
Al decapitated the shit out of Capella, and I respect how he did it with zero hesitation. This is the first time we've had the luxury of actually seeing him fight, so I was actually looking forward to this more than the main event Kurgan versus.
I was also very excited to see how Al actually fights. I thought that maybe we're just gonna see the outcome of Capella and, you know, Al already, and basically just have a creative way to not show him fight again. But no, they showed it. Now, he was using his blades, and he was moving in and out of the shadows, right? Behind the pillar, just showing up and just cleaving the head. And I was like, yo, where are the authorities at? I know that you got an authority. You must have an authority. The witch's miasma is thick upon you, as Rem mentioned in the cut content. There's no way a guy like you, you know, doesn't have an authority at this point, considering how much knowledge he has of the witches too. But even if he doesn't have authority, we got to see like his blade attacks. Now, what if his powers were already active and we just didn't know? Like, for example, what if his powers is like shadow step? And like him weaving in and out of the visible like parts and just showing up behind a pillar and just cutting Capella's head off? Like, what if his powers are like utility and kind of deals with that shadowy stuff? So even though we just see him seemingly just swing the blades around, we were not aware that some sort of like passive, some sort of authority was active.
Garfield. And I like the way Al fights. He did pretty well against Capella, despite only having one arm. But to be fair, if I was in the same room as Capella cosplaying as Priscilla, I would only have one arm free as well. So let's talk about the cut content. They cut some mysterious dialogue that seems to imply that Al has some type of ability. And
what kind of ability?
throughout the whole fight in the novel, he drops a lot of not subtle hints. Like right here, during this beautifully animated sequence where Capella first attacks him, Al dodges her attacks like he already knew what she was going to do. And
as if he has future sight, as if he's already fought this before? Yeah, Subaru is Al theories just keep stacking, even though a lot of people say no, it's not. But all right, he's got something that basically he already had knowledge of where the attacks were going to be.
he says out loud, "Next, I have to dodge backward."
What? The fuck? Is this just like future sight? Because like I doubt that, like if we assume that he has returned by death, like what, he memorized the attack patterns and then died, so he returned and now he's just predicting it based on his memorization? That's an insane photographic memory. I don't think it's really like that. I don't think Al should have returned by death either. I think it's more fun to imagine that he has something similar to like future sight.
And then immediately following that, she attacks.
It's also funny that the one character that is straight out of like Dark Souls looking design is the one that apparently is just memorizing boss pattern moves because he just did this over and over and over again.
From a blind spot behind him that he couldn't have possibly seen unless his helmet has a fucking rear view mirror. It's like he has the order of her attacks memorized. It's like he's practiced this boss fight before somehow. And then he says something even more revealing. He talks about dodging Capella's blood, and that's an event that straight up didn't happen. Like, he clearly just stood there and didn't even attempt to dodge it. And Capella's confused by that too, so she's like, "What? What are you talking about? I don't recall seeing you dodge my blood." And then Al responds by saying, "Oh, I was talking about a different time that you wouldn't know about."
Return by death? Does he literally have that? I mean, at this point, this doesn't even sound like future sight anymore. He's done the fight. He is literally a Dark Souls character. He's repeated this fight over and over again. He's talking about one run where he dodged the blood. The fuck? I mean, at this point, the amount of misdirection being set up for Al is Subaru theory is insane, don't you think so? It's crazy. The amount of evidence that now exists to support that Al is Subaru from like a different timeline, like maybe like a failed timeline, and he's showing up. And now you have fucking a power that's very reminiscent of Return by Death at play here. Like, come on.
Personally, I'm not a believer in the Al is Subaru theory.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. And this is a bit of metagaming. The only people who are against Al is not Subaru theory are two fucking light novel readers, Asaratha and Echidnut. Both these motherfuckers have read the light novels ahead. So when they come out and say, listen, Al is not Subaru, and they're so strong on it, like, what should the anime onlys expect, huh? I mean, obviously they have, like, even if the light novel, the source material, hasn't confirmed anything about it, the fact that you're so ahead, you have already even more details. So if we were metagaming, like, come on, like that's why I'm not so eager to jump off the cliff and say Al is Subaru, because of the amount of times Asaratha and Echidnut has just been preaching over and over again that, listen, this is not it. The amount of misdirections, though, it's crazy. It is unfair how misleading Tappei is in portraying Al and Subaru. Because, like, at a certain point, you're just trolling. Like, if you're leaving little breadcrumbs here and there and trying to help the audience follow little clues and hints and piece up theories together into getting the right guess, that's great. But when the crumb trail is intentionally designed to make you think in one specific way, the most intuitive way, and then they're like, nah, it's actually not that. A part of me is like, is that even good writing at that point? Aren't you intentionally just trying to fuck the audience over? There's no point even trying to even be focused and pay attention.
But that really sounded like something Subaru would say. I'm not too upset that they cut this though, because in the next half of the fight, Al incriminates himself even more. We basically get a full confession about what his ability does, so okay. I hope to God that they don't cut that. And by the way, he
don't worry, we're gonna get it through a break time episode instead.
All but admitted to flooding the city and murdering the Council of 10, so all the people in my comments who suspected Al for that, you guys were dead on. Otto is kind of a sociopath because remember, he can hear these water dragons crying in pain and begging for their life. And
yeah, the water dragon is making those noises. It was pretty fucked up.
Yet he's just vibing. So Felt...
Yeah, because he's Pandora, bro. He's Pandora, man. He got no empathy.
Ran off to get a Metia that can supposedly damage Reinhardt. And that's kind of a big deal, right? Damaging Reinhardt implies that it can bypass the laws of the world. So how does Felt even have that, actually?
Is this media part of, like, the legendary sword categories? Remember what we were talking about before? How maybe the Yang sword could also bypass, Reinhardt's blessings anyways?
Actually, I think I just answered my own question. It was probably stolen and pawned off at the loot house where Subaru tried to sell his Metia. But regardless, this isn't some ordinary Metia, so I'd sure like to smash whoever...
What the fuck is this picture?
...created it. Metia is actually a mistranslation.
It should be Meteor instead, but I don't care because they pronounce it Metia in Japanese voice acting.
Though, they're supposed to be called meteors.
Meteor.
Like, I genuinely don't give a fuck. That's why I say it's T-phone. It's like, I'm not gonna say Typhon. I'm gonna go off of what the Japanese voice acting is pronouncing it like.
Take it easy.
Lai mentioned someone named Rui, so you already know we're about to hyperanalyze the fuck out of this one word.
Who is Rui?
Rui is a gender-neutral name, I think. For some reason, Google's AI bot just told me the two genders are male and demons.
What the fuck? The girls ain't beating the allegations. The name Rui was mentioned when interacting with Otto. But Felt was also there. We know that Lai kind of like, he can phase through the memories and the names of the people that he's eaten. So Rui must be a character that is somehow associated with either Otto or Felt.
But the katakana is Rui, and Rui is a Japanese name, so it always kind of bothered me how the web novel went with the stupid French name with an S at the end, because it made half the community call this character Louis.
Louis.
Louis. Louis.
I mean, that's how the Japanese would pronounce Louis.
Louis. Louis.
Okay, I got it.
Louis?
What?
I'm sorry to anyone named Louis watching this video. I didn't mean to shit on your name or anything. Lai also said that Rui would like these three people, and like has the potential to mean she's going to meet them, perhaps through Lai somehow after he eats them. Or he could also mean like as in Rui likes pizza, because this Rui person could also be another Archbishop of Gluttony.
So Felt is actually not even in the same frame when Rui is mentioned. That's three Rui would like. These three? Does Gaston have some crazy lore? Like, does Gaston have some insane fucking backstory lore that has to do with Louis? I don't know, but Rui is an important name that we should be aware of, and it may be associated somehow, most likely with Otto.
Gluttony seems to come in threes, and their names kind of gave that away.
Yeah, the third sibling is still... I mean, they were never present in the cover picture of season 3 either, so I just guess we're not gonna get one.
And their names kind of gave that away. Alfred is a star known as the Spine of the Serpent, and Batankaitos means Belly of the Whale, which are two of the 3 great mob beasts created by the Witch of Gluttony. The rabbit is the only one missing, and there is a constellation that looks like a rabbit, but that's not gonna help us yet because Rui is obviously just a first name. However, Lai, Roy, and Rui are all first names with exactly 3 letters.
True. So Rui right now could straight up just be that third sibling.
Rui is also the first
Don't even know if they're siblings, to be honest, because their last names are different.
name of this character from Domestic Girlfriend. And in episode 4 of Domestic Girlfriend, Rui can be spotted eating something, satiating her gluttonous appetite.
Oh my god, we are transcending theory crafting, bringing other animes. Domestic Kanojo foreshadowed the third siblings amongst Gluttony. This is crazy.
There's even evidence of her drinking something as well. Furthermore, if we read the entire manga, you'll notice that chapter 73 contains a panel that shows in the background
a rabbit. Coincidence? I think not.
That's right. A rabbit.
Oh my
Coincidence? On a real note, I'm glad we finally got the official pronunciation of Rui, because I can't believe we had people in 2025 still calling this character Louis. Although I can't really say shit because I used to call Echidnut Echidona, which is the reason.
Echidona. I just literally go off of how does the Japanese voice actor pronounce it. So I will always say T-phone, even though people will write in the comments saying, you know, texting. Just like writing a spelling, the pronunciation. It's just, I don't care, bro. I'm gonna go off of what they're saying in the anime.
Reason she's eating a donut in my profile picture. Yeah, the lore runs deep on my channel, but this video isn't about my backstory. We need to talk about Kurgan vs. Garfield.
Yeah.
Vincent Chansard popped the fuck off, and I literally cannot glaze it enough because ReZERO has never had animation like this before. This fight scene went so hard that it was hard to see what happened. So
and that's a good thing. When you need to replay a Sakuga scene over and over again to try to understand what happened, that's probably a good thing.
Basically, Garfield defeated each of Kurgan's arms one by one and then finished him by biting through his neck.
That's right, he broke both arms. Left arm, right arm shatters. Garfield jumps up, tiger impact frame, sees the wound that exists on Kurgan, just cleaves him with his teeth. And then it's over.
Garfield has come such a long way since season 2 though.
He's 14 by the way. What the fuck? This is the strongest kid that ever existed. Obviously Reinhardt exists, but like it's kind of crazy that like Kurgan has acknowledged Garfield and he's still a child.
I remember back when he was first introduced, he was basically just an asshole with Oblivion NPC dialogue.
Kinda, yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure what was gonna happen for a minute, but I'm glad you made it back all right.
This soundtrack is so
Guess
good.
a little breeze will knock the Gafgalon fruit off the tree, know what I mean?
No, I do not know what you mean. The idioms hit even harder when it's English dub.
And now he's like the main character of his own shonen anime, and he just defeated one of the historical figures he used to read about in books. That's like if I beat the shit out of George Washington. I don't think George wants these hands though. He's too scared to come back to life. Kurgan was stated by the author to be stronger than some of the archbishops though. And if you're wondering how he died originally, it was Regulus. Yeah.
That's right. This is the guy that was sent over because, again, this is how I was like, basically the timeline isn't Al in Wallachia at that time? Maybe it's not at that time, but Al is a gladiator. He was in Wallachia for a while and got the helmet. But the reason I bring the helmet up, and and it's just a theory, just a random guess, is there was a Metia that was glazing another witch that wasn't the Witch of Envy. The witch cult, who glazes only the Witch of Envy, sent Regulus to calm the hype surrounding the other witches because this is heresy. Regulus basically destroyed an entire fortress and killed Kurgan in the process. And then I bring in Al's helmet because when they cut content, Rem smells thick scent of the witch like the witch's miasma from the helmet. And that's pretty much it. I thought that maybe that helmet was the media, but it is probably not it. Anyways.
Regulus killed him. I don't remember how I know that, but they're both dead, so I don't think it's a spoiler. Garfield finally overcame his trauma from Elsa, and that was actually an anime original change. In the novel, it was the people cheering and their faces that inspired him, and while I do prefer that, I don't mind the anime simplifying it because the Elsa angle is probably easier for most people to understand.
I am kind of... See, I wanted Elsa to take over, like the nine-tailed fox taking over Naruto, and then Naruto going crazy. You know how we're memeing about Garfield being a battle shonen protagonist right now. You know, he's got the inner beast coming out, but instead we had him seemingly overcoming the schizo trauma. He is able to kill the, you know, the demon beasts, what that Elsa taunted saying, hey, they used to be human, can you really kill them before in the early part of the episode? So he kills it. We see the imagery of him basically penetrating Elsa. He kind of like surpasses that. So does that mean no more Elsa? Like, we're no longer gonna get Schizo Elsa coming back? Like, cause, you know, I'd be perfectly fine if she showed up every once in a while and just said a couple lines.
And I can't lie, I missed those titties more than some of my dead relatives. It was so peak when Kurgan finally spoke and said his one line, magnificent.
Bro got paid to say one line. I wonder if he got paid more than some other voice actors that had many, many lines in each episode. It's like the Nezuko situation in Demon Slayer, bro. Bitch went AFK for like 3 to 4 seasons, right? Just making random grunting noises. And then says Ohio once. It's crazy.
But I'm sure Crunchyroll's localizers will have him say like, bussin' or something in the dub. Although this was a tremendous accomplishment by Garfield, Kurgan's corpse soldier form was not as powerful as the actual living Kurgan was. Okay. Back in the day, Kurgan was the strongest warrior in the entire country of Wallachia.
Oh, he was number 1?
Way back when they were both in their prime, Wilhelm fought Kurgan and cut off 2 of his arms. And then, a few months later, they had a rematch and Wilhelm fucked him up again, bringing him within an inch of his life, which really says a lot about how powerful Wilhelm used to be.
Damn, the sword demon was 2-0 against Kurgan. Turgon had 2 arms cut off?
And by the way, next episode is going to be titled Theresia Van Estrella. And I don't want to overhype it because it probably won't be better than this episode.
There is no way it's better than this episode in terms of like the peak that it reached, right? It's impossible. You can't, unless Vincent is working on it again, it's very unlikely, so maintain expectations.
But the material it's adapting is my favorite part of this entire arc, so
really?
I'm unbelievably excited for that.
Right.
As for any remaining cut content I haven't mentioned already, there was a bit more to Kurgan's backstory, but to be honest, who cares? He's fucking dead. He just got clapped by a 14-year-old with PTSD. Yeah.
That's crazy. The disrespect on Kurgan out of nowhere.
Yes, Garfield is 14.
Yeah.
Elsa, thank you.
For what? For half a frame, you heard that, you know, soundtrack.
Elsa, thank you, gentlemen, for watching my video. And if there's any demons watching this, thank you as well.
Women.
Vincent absolutely cooked, and ReZERO is like 40% of my personality, so having a fight scene of this caliber in my favorite anime just makes me so happy. Watching it for the first time literally made me get up out of my seat and go, yes! It was cringe. There's a reason I'm not a streamer. But anyway, I gotta go take a shit. Until next.
I think that streamers are pretty cringe, man. The cut content with Al is insane. So not only, like, it's not really Future Sight. He's done the run based off of what he said about Capella's blood. If that comment wasn't made, we could still keep the Future Sight involved, but it really does sound like he's repeating, and he's able to repeat the fights over and over again, and that's how he kind of memorized the boss patterns, which is hilarious considering, again, everyone makes fun of him for looking like a Dark Souls character because of his helmet. The Garfield versus Kurgan scene, though, was actually so insane. One of my favorite parts was every time Garfield would, you know, do something, we had like his stanky leg. His leg would glow red, this aura, to show that he's using the divine protection of Earth, and then Earth magic happens. Like, something about that was so hype. And again, it's just when you have such an insane moment that you can only appreciate frame by frame. Well, not only appreciate, but basically a lot of people watching this for the first time, it's impossible to appreciate everything because so much is happening in that like 1 minute in couple seconds. So just because you bust fast doesn't mean it's bad, guys. Vincent has shown us that, hey, 1 minute, couple seconds can be very impactful. Please go check out Echidnut's channel. Here's the link to the video. Go give it a like, and I'll see you next time.